Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I want to tell you a story. Ooh, look, I did a camera move. So I shared the story about the man who coughed on me and me just doing a song and his wife thinking I put roots on him. And it reminded me of another story. Did I say song? Story. Anyway, so I had a neighbor who was for some reason bothered by tree branches on other people's trees at other people's houses. And she would go by and cut these branches with a saw. And people would assume that like she lived there or something. And then they just kind of go by and then realize she's cutting down somebody's tree or branches off of people's tree. Well, she came by one day and she said, listen, this tree of yours is sticking out. And it was a young, really young tree. And she said, it's leaning out. And when you're coming around the bend, you can't really see. And it's really, it's going to cause an accident. It's a distraction. It's a problem. And I was like, the tree's not bothering anybody. And you could see she was highly agitated by this tree, and you could see that it was going to be problematic for her, for everybody in the neighborhood. She would do some other things, like put notes in people's boxes about what they were doing wrong and their trees being in bad places. But she was really bothered by it, and she said, well, if I can just take this branch right here. And I said, listen, you need to leave the trees alone. And I said, these trees are not very happy with you. And she reacted. She was like, don't you put no haint on me. Don't you put no haint on me. Don't you put no haint on me. And I'm like, why are you always thinking people got haint? And so I was like, I'm not putting any haint on you. The trees will. She's like, well, I'm going to cut this branch. And I was like, okay, but when the trees respond, don't come looking at me. So, shortly after that, the hurricane, I can't remember which hurricane it was, but it came through this area and did a lot of devastation. And one of my neighbors called who had stayed home, and she said, listen, when you come around the bend and you see this woman's house, don't worry. Her house looks like Armageddon. Every tree, because a lot of tornadoes had hit, she said every tree, it seems like every tree that was pulled down or picked up is in her yard. And she said, your yard looks like there's one small branch that looks like the olive branch that the dove or the peace dove is carrying, and it just dropped in the center of your yard. And I was like, what? She said, it looks like Armageddon. So I get back, and I mean, they were not just in her yard, they were in her house, they were everywhere. And I felt so bad. And one of my trees that was next to a pool, and the pool, it's screened in, and it like fell right next to the screen, like that close to the screen, didn't touch the screen, and went into that yard. And so I said, well, I've got a tree man coming to take this up, and let me offer to have that taken up out of your yard. And she was like, well, it's not your responsibility. You don't have to do that. I said, yeah, but it's just a nice thing to do. It's a neighborly thing to do. And so, and then she got in it with the guy. She was like, I don't want you driving across my lawn. He was like, ma'am, you don't have a lawn. He said, every tree looks like it was mad at you. And she said, don't you put no haint on me. So I have a here's the thing, but I'm not even going to go there. I just want to say that we're connected to everything. So don't put no haint on me. I love you. By the by, haint is one of those like voodoo words where somebody accuses you of putting bad juju on you, but it's not a part of voodoo. I love you.